This is Gemara Shavuos Daf Chof Zayin, and we begin with a new Mishnah on the top of Chof Zayin Amud Aleph. We're learning once again should be an incredible schos refuah shalema for Tinok Miriam Ahuva b'seich shar Choyle Yisrael. Says the Mishnah on top of Chof Zayin Rav Nishal Levatel es ha-mitzvah. Someone makes a shvuah to be mevatel, to violate a mitzvah. We're going to see these are going to be all the cases in which there is no, the regular halachas of shua will not apply. V'loi b'itel, and of course, Baruch Hashem, he doesn't do it. Potter, the halacha is, he is potter from the karban shua. Lekayim lo kayim, potter. Why? Shayev edin sheyechayev, cause b'manav shach. Excuse me, sheyedin sheyechayev, you would think that he's chayev, kedivi Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, that if you make a shvuah to fulfill a mitzvah, you would think that you're chayiv like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, and says the Mishnah, no, you're not. What is this Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira on the fourth one? And Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, ma'amer shos, she'ena b'shlam me'arasina, are you chayiv alav? If that which is a rishos, if an optional act, you make a shvuah and you violate it, Allah is, you are chayiv. So says Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, then certainly when it comes to a mitzvah, shu mashla me'arasina, did she chayiv alel? Amrla, they responded, lo, im amre b'shvuah arshos, shekein asa ba'alav, kehein, tamri shuas b'shlo asa ba'alav kehein. There's an integral ingredient lacking. There's no lav kehein. There's no, by definition, ability to not to do it, because you're mashvavai mi ma'arasina, it's a mitzvah. So says the Mishnah, no, Shem Nishal Avatal Labitel, Potter, and therefore, if you're Nishal Avatal and you're not, then you're Potter, and therefore they can't be a Chiyuv if you're Nishma Lekayim. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabba, Non Yachol, I would think, Nishal Avatal Zamitz of Labitel Yechayiv, Tamlim Lar Leitiv, Matav, Rishos, Avara, Rishos, they both have to be Rishos, both have to be optional. Oiti nishal levatel mitzvah lebitel shu potter. Yachol nishal lekayim mitzvah lokim shu chayiv. On the flip side, you would think you're chayiv tam lamar lehativ. The same drasha. Mahara rishos avatavas rishos. Oiti nishal lekayim mitzvah v'lekim shu potter. Yachol nishal lahara latzav lahara. Yachol ye potter. So case number 1 and 2 were tiyah, not to a mitzvah. Case number 3 is, what if someone makes a shvuah to harm himself? And he doesn't. Yachle pot. You think you're pot? I'm little harleitiv. Ma tava rishos avara rishos avi nishal ara latzvay v'lahara shashos biyadai. Over here, the exact opposite. Over here, it is biyadai. Over here, if someone makes a shvuah lahara latzvay to harm himself, so we're going to include that the rishos was biyada, and therefore you're going to be chayiv. On the flip side, you would think that if you made a shvuah to harm someone else and he didn't, you should be chayiv. No. And therefore, so before we go weiter, we just have to, again, very simple 4 different drashais. 2 about mitzvahs, 2 about harming oneself and others, which boils down to the same exact yisaid. What is the yisaid? The yisaid is that every shvuah needs to have the capabilities to be both lahara or lahativ. It has to both have the capabilities to be both done or not done. I mean, I am the rabbis. Hatav zacherim. How do we know to include that if you make a shvuah to do good, hatava for someone else? Tam lamar oy lahativ. And what is the case of harming others? If he makes a shvam and hits someone, Vev says, or I will split open his skull. Umimai, so says the Gemara, what do we see that it refers to divrei rishos and not mitzvah? Ask the Gemara, how do you know? Umimai dekrai b'divrei rishos ksivi dima b'divrei mitzvah ksivi. How do you know that the pasuk of lahara lahetiv, we took it for granted, but now it boils down the Gemara? How do you know that it's actually for divrei rishos? Maybe it's also for what? Divrei mitzvah. Explains the Gemara, lo sagadaitach. Why? The same yisaid. Tibi'inan hatava dumi dahara, harava dumi datava. The positive and the negative have to go back and forth, one to the other, doing good to do bad. Ta'akish harala atava explains the Gemara. We make a hekish, we equate the two of them. Ma atava ina bebital mitzvah. Just like when it comes to doing good, can I be talking about to violate a mitzvah? Why not? Because violating a mitzvah is certainly not hatava, it's certainly not good. Af hara ina bebital mitzvah, so to hara is the same thing. Hara gufa hatavi. Why? Because when you're talking about hara, when you're talking about doing a mitzvah, that's called toiv, that's called good. And on the flip side, v'akshatav hara. Ma hara ain't a bekiya mitzvah. It can't be bad with regard to being mekayim mitzvah. Hatav ain't a bekiya mitzvah. Hatava gufa, because then doing the good would be bad because you're violating a mitzvah. So frek the Gemara, fine. So you're telling me it goes both ways. Hatava hara. Ihachi asked the Gemara, with regarding to a dvar mishos, how else can we find these based on that which we just explained, that it's not shaykh to have a tav and a ra with regard to divrei mitzvah? So the Gemara flips it around and says, guess what? The same thing is going to be by divrei rishos. So says the Gemara, you're right. Ela meditzurcha oile rabbis atavas achere oile rabbis. For the we need the oile rabbis atavas acherim. Shmamina b'divrei rishos ksivi. Why? Why is atavas acherim doing good to someone else? The conclusive proof that it has to be talking about divrei rishos. But if you're going to tell me something about a mitzvah, very good that you can tell me you can do harms. But how can it be they're going to do good to someone else? So the oi must say that it's not. Says the Gemara, we need the oi lachalik to teach what is its own separate case. Explains the Gemara, no, lachalik lo tzrichi kra. So, Rav Yinisan el Rav Yishaya Michael Amim. Or what's this Rav Yishaya? The Tanya. If someone Rahman the son curses a parent, only yellow. Here we only know four lines on the bottom. Aviv imay, aviv laimay, imav layaviv. Each one independently minayin. Tamei laimar, aviv imay kilel, aviv kila imel kila diver Rav Yishaya. So how do we know to split them, two of them up, as we turn over to Chav Zayin and Beis? Says the Gemara. We know it only when sheyifaret lecha akasav yachtov. So says the Gemara. So according to this opinion, we do not need la'oi to be lechalik. Explains the Gemara. Afilu temer Rav Yishaya v'sarv'lek Rav Akiva t'darish b'riboy umi yutei. Amr b'shlama, 1 second. B'davar hashos ksiv mimayet dvar mitzvah. Amr dvar mitzvah ksiv mimayet ka mimayeti. So Rabbi Kiva certainly is discussing that the Shavuos is about a mitzvah or not Shavuos bitoy, and Rabbi Yeshaya can go according to Rabbi Akiva. We wrap up part A of today's Shia. Amr Rav Yehuda ben Beseira Ma'amar Hashos. For Rabban and Shavar come there, Rav Yehuda ben Beseira. Rabban seem to have a good time. Rav Yehuda ben Beseira, Amr Lach, I know your response. Atu atav zachirim lav. Responds Rav Yehuda ben Beseira. Atu atav zachirim, regarding when you make a shvua to do taif to someone else. Lava valgav, is it not true that what? The lesa bechlal hara asachirim, that it's not included doing bad to someone else. And yet the Torah includes it. Mitzvah. God bless you, mitzvah, Rabbi Rachman will have the same reboy. So what do the Rabbanan respond? Over there it's Shaykh, but by a mitzvah, it's not going to be Shaykh at all. So continues the Gemara with another case of Shavuos in the new Mishnah. Chav Zayin Amud Beis, Shavuos shaloi oichal kikar zeh, Shavuos shaloi ochalna. Someone says the same Shavuot 2 times. We had this case already quoted back in Daf Gimel and Chav Aleph. Someone makes a Shavuot to not eat, and he says the same thing again. Shavuot shaloi ochalna ba'achla. He made a Shavuot not to eat. In a chayv alach, azui Shavuos bito. Shechavin al zadoni makis al shigasei karban oilev yarid. Shavuos shav chayvin al zadoni makis al shigasei pater. Shavuos shav is going to be different. We have a Shavuos Bitoy and a Shavuos Shav. Shavuos Bitoy is going to be when you make a Shavuot to do something, you don't do it. Shavuos Shav is going to be you just make a Shavuot in vain, in nothingness. So it says the Gemara, let's understand all the different terminologies in the Mishnah. Lamali lemisti Shavuot shloi eichal, Shavuot shloi achalna. Why did the mitzvah say, I'll take a Shavuot, I will not eat, and then I will Shavuot shloi achal no, I will not eat it. Hakamashlan time of Amar shloi eichel, v'adar Amar shloi achal no. To lay mechayiv, that's where you're not mechayiv. Elachad, only one. Aval Amar shloi no, I won't eat it. V'hadar Amar shloi I won't eat stam. Mechayiv tarti. Kidarava. Then in that case, indeed, you would be chayiv too, like Shita as Rava. Ta'amar Rava. Shavuos eichal kikar zu kiman sha'oichal mimeno kizayis chayiv sha'ochal no. In a chayiv ha'shocha is kula. So the two terms mean different things. Achal no means it. The entirety of it is called it. Eichal is tam. So the Mishnah teaching us a chiddush that if you said sha'achal no, then you added on a more generic statement, and indeed you would have multiple chiyuvim. And we call the next part of the Mishnah Shavuot sh'achal no va'achla inu chayiv alachas. So made a Shavuot, I will not eat it, not eat, and then he says, I'll not eat it. Then the halacha is you chayiv only one. It says the Gemara, hasu lamli, what's this actual case the Mishnah teaching us? Like Kamashlan, chiyuvu dalaka shvua ika. Says the Gemara, you know what the chiddush is? That it's not a chiyuv for an extra shvua shav. But guess what? In reality, there is a shvua which is there. Di mishkachas ravcha. And what does that mean? There's a shvua there. If the shvua finds a space, finds a place to be chal, then chayla. So what case must be Elech l'Rava d'Amar Rava? She'em nishal rishayna slashniya dachtav. You made shayel on the shvua. You undid the shvua. That what's the halacha going to be? That the next shvua will fall in its place. Lema misayeh. I'll bring you a right. Mish other base nazir sumana rishayna umana. Someone made two naziros. Umana rishayna counted the first term of naziris. Bever shalal carbon. The second one will fall into place of the first one. So too is the same debayas. Says the Gemara, no raya, not the same case. Whereas so you can't bring a raya. So over there is this entity of Naziris that's banned, that's ba'ilam. So maybe only there does the next one fall. But by us, the second shvua has nothing at all to even be waiting. So maybe it's not the same case. We'll pick it up from here. B'siyata d'ishmaya.